Emma tightened her grip on her son Noah's tiny hand as she entered the gleaming lobby of the corporate tower. She had spent the night rehearsing her answers, pressing her one good blouse, and whispering encouragement to herself. Today's interview wasn't just about a job, it was about survival. Rent was overdue, bills piled high, and Noah deserved more than a mother who was constantly apologizing for not having enough. But as soon as the receptionist noticed the small boy at her side, her polite smile faded. "Ma'am, children are not allowed in the interview area," she said coldly. Emma's face flushed. She had no choice. Her babysitter canceled last minute, and she couldn't afford to reschedule. "Please," Emma begged softly. "I just need this chance. He'll sit quietly. I promise." Her plea was met with a shake of the head. Moments later, the hiring manager appeared, frowning at the sight of a child clinging to his mother's skirt. "This is highly unprofessional," he snapped. "We cannot consider you under these circumstances. Thank you for your time." Emma's heart cracked as she turned to leave, Noah's big eyes blinking up at her. She felt the weight of defeat pressed down like never before. And that's when it happened. The glass doors opened again. A tall man in a tailored suit strode in, radiating quiet authority. Everyone in the lobby straightened at his presence. The whispers were clear. The CEO had arrived. And his sharp gaze landed directly on Emma and her son. The lobby froze as the CEO's polished shoes clicked against the marble floor. Alexander Hayes, young, brilliant, and intimidatingly wealthy, rarely came down unannounced. Emma's cheeks burned as she tried to hurry Noah toward the door, but it was too late. "Is there a problem here?" His deep voice cut through the awkward silence. The hiring manager cleared his throat nervously. "Mr. Hayes, just a scheduling issue. This applicant brought a child to the interview. Completely unprofessional." Emma felt the sting in his words, but she kept her chin high. Before she could apologize, Noah peeked out from behind her and whispered, "Mommy's the best. She can do anything." The words, innocent and pure, made her eyes water. Alexander's gaze softened, flickering from Emma's flushed face to the little boy clutching her hand. He noticed the scuffed shoes, the careful but worn clothes, and the quiet dignity in her stance. Something tugged inside him, memories of his own mother, who had once dragged him to odd jobs when she couldn't afford childcare. "Interesting," Alexander murmured, folding his arms. "And yet she showed up. Despite the circumstances." The manager shifted uncomfortably. "Yes, but—" "No buts," Alexander interrupted. "A candidate's resilience speaks louder than a resume." He turned his sharp eyes back to Emma. "Tell me, Ms. Thompson," she whispered. "Emma Thompson." "Well, Ms. Thompson," he said, almost smiling, "would you join me in my office? Bring your son. I think I'd like to hear your story firsthand." Gasps rippled through the staff. Emma's breath caught. Was this really happening? She tightened her grip on Noah's hand, hope flickering inside her chest for the first time in months. Because the CEO hadn't just noticed her, he had invited her in. Emma followed Alexander Hayes through the long glass corridor, Noah skipping lightly beside her. Every step felt surreal, as if she were walking into a dream she didn't dare believe. His office was nothing like she'd imagined. Sunlight poured across sleek shelves lined with books, not trophies of wealth. "Please have a seat," Alexander said, motioning toward the leather chairs. He crouched briefly to Noah's level, offering his hand. "And what's your name, young man?" "Noah," the boy said shyly, gripping his toy car tighter. "Noah," Alexander repeated warmly, as though it mattered. "Good to meet you." Then he turned to Emma. "Now, Ms. Thompson, why don't you tell me what brought you here today?" Emma swallowed. This wasn't the script she had practiced the night before. I need this job. Not just for me, but for him. I used to work in administration, but after my husband walked out, it's been hard to keep steady work. I do night shifts at a diner, but it barely pays the bills. I know I may not look like the perfect candidate, but I am hardworking, dedicated, and I don't quit when things get difficult." Alexander listened without interrupting. Emma braced for rejection, but instead, he leaned back, studying her with a thoughtful expression. "You know," he said slowly, "most people would have given up when the babysitter cancelled. You didn't. You showed up anyway. That tells me more about your character than any resume could." Emma blinked, stunned. She had come expecting humiliation. Instead, the CEO of the company was speaking to her as if her struggle was a strength, not a weakness. And for the first time in years, she felt truly seen. Emma shifted uneasily in her chair, unsure if she was actually being interviewed or simply pitied. Noah sat on her lap now, tracing circles on her arm, while Alexander's sharp eyes softened every time they landed on the boy. "You said you worked in administration before?" Alexander asked. "Yes," Emma replied, steadying her voice. "I managed schedules, organized records, handled budgets. I was good at it. But when Noah was born, everything changed. I tried to balance both, but eventually the company let me go. Too many absences, they said. Too many emergencies." Alexander nodded slowly, as though he understood more than he let on. He tapped his pen against the desk. "If I gave you a task right now, under pressure, with distractions around you, could you handle it?" Emma hesitated only a moment. "I'd try my best. That's all I've ever done." Without warning, he slid a file across the desk. "Then try. Summarize this report in 5 minutes. Pretend you're briefing me for a board meeting." Emma blinked, nerves rattling her. She balanced Noah on her hip, flipped through the dense pages, and began jotting notes on the notepad. Noah tugged her sleeve, whispering questions, but she pressed on, reading, condensing, organizing. Her hand shook, but her focus sharpened. Exactly 5 minutes later, she looked up. "3 key takeaways," she said firmly, outlining them with surprising clarity. Alexander leaned back, a spark of admiration in his eyes. "Impressive. Most candidates crack under that kind of pressure." Emma exhaled, hugging Noah closer. For once, she wasn't just surviving, she was proving herself. And she didn't even realize that she had just passed the real test. Silence lingered in the office after Emma's impromptu presentation. She shifted uncomfortably, waiting for the verdict, her heart pounding in her chest. Finally, Alexander broke the stillness. "You know, Miss Thompson," he said, folding his hands, "you remind me of someone. My mother." Emma blinked. "Your mother?" "Yes." His voice softened, carrying weight that surprised her. "She raised me alone. She worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3. She often had no choice but to bring me along, whether it was to a cleaning shift or a late-night office task. People dismissed her, judged her. But her grit, her determination, that's what built the foundation for everything I am today." Emma's throat tightened. She hadn't expected vulnerability from a man like him. "So when I see you," Alexander continued, "I don't see unprofessionalism. I see strength. I see the same fight my mother carried in her bones." Tears burned at the corners of Emma's eyes. She quickly blinked them away, unwilling to appear weak. But Alexander noticed. He leaned forward. "I'll be frank. This company needs people who don't fold under pressure. People who find a way, no matter what." "That's you?" Emma's breath caught. Are you offering me the job?" A small smile curved his lips. "I'm offering you more than that. I'm offering you a chance to grow. To build something solid for you and for Noah. But you'll need to trust me, and yourself." Emma clutched her son, her chest swelling with something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. For the first time, the future didn't feel like a closed door. It felt like the beginning of something new. Emma sat frozen, hardly believing the words she had just heard. Noah tugged her sleeve. "Mommy, does this mean you got the job?" His innocent eyes brimmed with excitement. Alexander chuckled softly, his gaze flickering to the boy. "Yes, Noah. It means your mom has a future here. And perhaps," he added, lowering his voice as though sharing a secret, "she'll teach us all a little about courage." Emma pressed a hand to her lips, overwhelmed. She had walked into the building carrying shame and doubt, only to be told she wasn't good enough. Yet now, the very man at the top was offering her not just employment, but dignity. I don't know what to say, Emma stammered. Say you'll show up, Alexander replied firmly. That's all I need. For the first time in years, Emma's shoulders lifted from the crushing weight she'd carried. She reached for Alexander's hand, shaking it with quiet strength. Then I'll show up. Every single day. As they stood to leave, staff members in the hallway stared with wide eyes. Whispers followed them, but Emma no longer cared. She wasn't the desperate single mom begging for scraps. She was a woman who had fought through rejection and proven her worth. Later, as she walked out into the sunlight with Noah skipping beside her, she realized something profound. Sometimes life closed doors to protect you from places you didn't belong. And sometimes, just sometimes, one unexpected door opened into a future brighter than you ever imagined. Emma glanced at her son, her heart full. See, Noah? We made it. And deep inside she knew this was only the beginning of their new tomorrow.